In this section, we're going to wire up our Postgres secret that we just created in the last section to our server deployment and our Postgres deployment as well. So we're going to first start inside of our server deployment.yaml file. I'm going to scroll down to my list of environment variables because we want to provide this password as an environment variable. So at the very end of this list, I'm going to add on a new name. The name is going to be PG password. Now, something to make clear here is that this is the name of the environment variable. So this is how our secret or our encoded password is going to show up inside the container. The name of PG password right here is not at all related to the secret. And in fact, it could be something totally different. It could be my password or whatever we want it to be. But in our case, our copy of the multi-server image is going to be looking for a PG password environment variable. And so that's why we are going to use specifically PG password as the name. Then, rather than specifying a value property, we're going to provide a value from property. So we're essentially saying, get the value for this environment variable from some configuration that we're going to put in here. And so we're going to put in a secret key ref, and then we'll provide a name. The name is going to be the name of the secret that we want this environment variable value to come from. So the name of our secret that we just put together was PG password, all lowercase right there. So as my name, I'll put in PG password. And then we also have to put in a key. Remember that a secret can store many key value pairs. We only put one key value pair in here, but we could have very easily added in several other key value pairs as well. And so we need to point out the key value pair that we want to shove into this environment variable. So the key that we want to reference is PG password. So for the key, I'll put in PG password, like so. So now that we put the name and the key right here, Kubernetes is going to automatically open up this secret with the name of PG password. It's going to find the key value pair inside of there equal to key. So that's this one right here. It's going to find the value associated with it, which is 12345 ASDF, and it's going to pass that into our container as the environment variable called PG password. Now, one thing that's a little bit unclear here, or I feel like might be a little bit confusing, is the fact that our name of the environment variable and the key inside the secret are identical. So again, we could have very easily changed, say, the key right here to be like my password without any issue whatsoever. We would have just needed to make sure that the key that we provided right here, rather than PG password, it would have had to have been my password as well. All right, so I'm going to change that back like so. Okay, so that's how we wire up a secret as an environment variable. So our server now knows about the password to use for the database. So now the last thing we have to do is to make sure that our Postgres database knows about the password that it should be using. So we're essentially going to override its default password. All right, so for this, we're going to find our Postgres deployment file. We're going to scroll on down to our container definition right here. And we're going to add on a env property to our container definition, like so. Now, please triple check, make sure that env is on the same indentation level as the name, image, ports, and volume mounts properties. If you want to be real safe, you could actually just add it up right here and not have to worry about matching the indentation at all. Just a quick reminder, all these key value pairs inside of a YAML file do not need to be ordered in any specific fashion. Okay, so for env right here, I'm going to pass in a name of PG password. So now we are setting up an environment variable of PG password that we're going to pass into the container. If the container or the image Postgres right here sees an environment variable of PG password, it's going to use that as the default password as opposed to the, or excuse me, as the password as opposed to the default password of whatever it usually is. And again, I forget what it is off the top of my head. Okay, so we're going to create the PG password environment variable, and then we're going to say you're going to get the value for this from a secret key reference. And again, it's going to have a name of PG password. And the key that we want to reference inside of that password or that secret is PG password right there. So we will provide a key of PG password, like so. All right, so that's pretty much it. So we have now set up a custom password for our database. We have told our copy of Postgres to make use of that password anytime someone tries to connect. And we've also told our server pod, or more specifically, the multi-server container that gets created, what that secret password is. So that's pretty much it. Now, the very last thing that we are going to need to do is to apply the changes that we just made to these configuration files. So I'm sure you recall how to do that. We'll flip on over to our terminal, and we'll do a kubectl apply-f k8s, like so. Now, it looks like I've got a little bit of an error message here. You'll notice that it says cannot convert int64 into string. I know exactly where that's coming from. This was a expected error. Don't worry about it. So we'll take a quick pause right here. When we come back to the next section, we're going to fix this thing up very quickly. So quick pause, and I'll see you in just a minute.